Welcome back. A vast lake lies right at the heart of Anhui province. It is Chaohu Lake, and it has been famous since ancient times for its spectacular scenery. A few years ago, the lake became even more celebrated when it found itself at the center of a historical mystery.
In June 2005, ahead of the summer floods, the local government in Anhui province decided to release the water in Chaohu Lake. As the water level in the lake dropped, shards of porcelain were exposed near the lake's northern shore. The area, called Tangju, lies 15 kilometers away from the city of Chaohu. Experts examined the porcelain and concluded that it dated from the Han Dynasty some 2,000 years ago. Other items, however, dated from much earlier, all the way back to the Shang and Zhou dynasties more than 4,000 years ago. Scientists believe that Chaohu Lake was formed 15,000 years ago, so it's impossible that the porcelain shards could indicate the presence of an ancient city that had been swallowed up by the lake. Yet the local annals, written 400 years ago in the Qing dynasty, mention a city that sank and became part of the lake in 239 AD. The incident happened at the time of the Three Kingdoms period, when the area belonged to the Kingdom of Wu, but the claim appears to contradict scientific evidence. The scientists decided to find out if there was any truth to the old story about a city sinking into the lake. They uncovered more traces of ancient life, including burnt red earth and piles of ash. But the greatest surprise was the discovery in the shallow water of dozens of wells built of pottery. As the water level steadily fell, the researchers discovered more porcelain scattered around. Among numerous other cultural relics, the archaeologists found axes made of stone and jade dating from the Neolithic age, pottery jars from the Shang and Zhou dynasties, pottery tools, pottery toys, and bronze fishhooks. But the most interesting findings were the coins, which dated from a period spanning 500 years from the Warring States period to the end of the Western Han Dynasty in the 1st century AD. This was 200 years ago before the Three Kingdoms period when, so the local annals claimed, a city sank into the lake. Other findings included brick tiles that had clearly been used in important buildings. Researchers also found 3 seals made of silver, bronze, and jade, dating from the Han Dynasty. All this suggested that whatever had lain under the water could not have been a small town. Rather, it had been a major city, probably a political center during the period from the Shang to the Han Dynasty. Records show that during the Shang dynasty, some 3,500 years ago, a kingdom called Juqiao had occupied what is the Chaohu area today. By the Zhou dynasty, Juqiao had become a prominent dukedom. Many historical records dating from before the Han dynasty contain references to the Duke of Chao, Southern Chao, and Juqiao. Chaohu is a place with fertile soil and it connects the Huaihe River drainage area with the lower reaches of the Yangtze. In ancient times, the area was regularly fought over by rival powers. The few mentions of the kingdom of Juchao in historical records are invariably associated with warfare. From the end of the Han Dynasty, the whole country was embroiled in civil war until the three kingdoms of Wei, Shu, and Wu were eventually established. While Cao Cao controlled the northern plains, Liu Bei established his rule over the Sichuan Basin. Meanwhile, on the lower reaches of the Yangtze, where the warlord Sun Quan held sway, a fortress was built at the place where the waters of Chaohu Lake entered the Yangtze. To prevent Sun Quan from advancing northward, Cao Cao established a strategic outpost at Hefei. The armies of the two sides fought many indecisive battles in the area. The continuous fighting reduced the once fertile land into barren fields. In 239 AD, 20 years after a major battle was fought by Chaohu Lake, the last reference to a city called Chao was recorded. After that, nothing more was ever heard about the city. This once key fortress, it seemed, had disappeared. The researchers found a lot of household utensils on the lake bed, which led them to believe that the city had still been inhabited when a major disaster struck. Slow encroachment by the lake water couldn't have caused the city to have disappeared so suddenly. Some dramatic event must have occurred, but the scientists had no idea what it might have been. All they knew was that the people of the ancient city had not had the time to remove their belongings. Professor Wang Xingyuan is director of the Anhui Remote Sensing Archaeology Station. He learned from the local farmers about the sudden sharp drop in the lake's bed. Although this was only hearsay, Professor Wang thought it might be an important lead. While the researchers worked on the exposed lake bed, in central Chaohu, the archaeologists were excavating an ancient tomb. For the veteran archaeologists, the work was routine at first. But then, at the top of the tomb chamber, they discovered something unusual. There was an arched wall, the like of which none of them had ever seen before. The experts wondered if the arched wall above the tomb chamber might be part of a special and previously unrecorded burial tradition. They found some burial items dating from the Eastern Han Dynasty in the 1st or 2nd century AD. The base of the arched wall, when it was uncovered, was revealed to stand along a single axis, as was normal in ancient tombs. However, something the archaeologists had never seen before were the cracks shaped like the patterns on the tortoise back that covered the whole wall. At the Anhui Normal University, Professor Wang Xingyuan and his team used remote sensing technology to analyze satellite data. They were seeking a more comprehensive understanding of the hydrological and geological features of Chaohu Lake. As they studied the bathymetric map of the water level in Chaohu Lake, they noticed a sudden change 2 kilometers away from the shore at Tangju. This indicated that there was, in fact, a sudden drop in the lake bed.
有个陡坎在那里，所以这个陡坎呢，两种情况，一种是原来的那个湖岸的地方，一种那与断层有关系。
Further investigation identified the presence of a fault. The underground structure at Chaohu is highly complex. The numerous lines on the map indicate faults that form part of the famous Yanlu Great Fault in eastern China. In fact, it was these faults that led to the formation of Chaohu Lake. One of the lines, stretching from the southeast to northwest, runs vertically parallel with the northern shore of the lake and right across Tangju. The experts found that this particular fault was the youngest among all those in the area. By running across several other, older faults, it caused geological dislocation. The question was, did it have anything to do with the destruction of the ancient city? The excavation of the ancient tomb was nearing an end. As they cleared the floor of the tomb chamber, the archaeologists were surprised by another strange sight. The bricks, which should have lain flat, had been dislodged.
它的东边一堵墙基本上已经呈圆弧形了，地隆起来，地表让人明显的感觉到受到两边的挤压，然后地表隆起，隆起的很高。那么，假如因为地气不牢，它的变形是下陷而不是隆起，只有在挤压的情况下才会隆起。这种变形应该只有地震才能造成。
The local annals record many earthquakes since the Han Dynasty. The scientists put forward a proposition that in 239 AD, a powerful earthquake in eastern Chaohu had brought about a massive landslide. Imagine the scene. Sudden horror envelopes the city and its residents. While the ground trembles violently, earth and rock pour down on the buildings like a sudden onrush of water. Moments later, no trace of the city remains. Although no ruins of the ancient city can be seen, the mystery buried beneath the water continues to entice the researchers to continue probing the extraordinary events of 1,800 years ago.